afternoon, and he is here. It's an honor and a pleasure to say good afternoon and welcome our special guest, Dr. Mark McKenzie. He is the medical director at ClinSearch at Chattanooga. Good afternoon. How you doing today, Dr. McKenzie?
Doing well. Glad to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here. I mentioned you being a medical director with ClinSearch at Chattanooga. I'm sure a lot of listeners have been hearing a commercial from ClinSearch. We appreciate you all's support, and we want to talk about ClinSearch and what it is actually all about. I know it's a medical research firm, and talk about researching ways to better treat diabetes and other diseases. So just give us a quick bio on ClinSearch. What is ClinSearch?
ClinSearch has been around for quite a lot of years. Dr. Richard Krause was the medical director before me. He established it and recently retired. I've been working with him myself off and on for about 8 years, and then recently took over full-time. ClinSearch is, as you said, a medical research facility. We're dedicated to that. We don't do general patient care, but we will treat patients who are within a study, within those parameters. What we do is clinical trials on new therapies. Sometimes it is a medication or therapy that's been around for some time. We're trying it for a new thing. We partner with sponsors, different drug companies who manufacture these things and need sites around the country, evaluating different populations as they use that to determine how well the medications work. Essentially, safety is our thing, and we're trying to make sure we get a good result, but the goal is just to evaluate symptoms and be able to determine what works, what doesn't work. That way the general population, when it does come to market, will have good information.
Well, one thinks of research, and I know it seems like there seems to be a concerted effort dealing with diabetes, and as I mentioned, other diseases, but it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, with diabetes, we know it's a chronic medical condition dealing with sugar, glucose levels, and all that. It seems to be a little bit more prevalent in the Black or African American community. Is that correct?
Yeah, we make a big deal about that. During my years of being in internal medicine practice, that was one of the things we stressed. 30 million Americans or more are affected by diabetes. So you're talking about 10% of the population. In the African American community, it's really high. It's about 4 or 5 million Americans.
Wow.
And so you would think we would take more ownership of it and try to do what we can to defeat it. Our goals as physicians are to teach, to encourage, to give guidelines, to answer questions, but try to do what we can to prevent people from getting the complications of diabetes.
Okay. And I know there's different types. We often hear about type 2 diabetes. Could you just give us a brief overview of the different types and why it seems like type 2 is the more prevalent type of diabetes?
There are actually several types, but the main types that we deal with, and that's what we'll stay focused on, are type 1 and type 2. Type 1 traditionally has been known to start in childhood, but essentially what happens, your body cannot create its own insulin at a really early age, and insulin is the product that the body makes to control blood sugar.
Okay.
And so those people, you may have gone to school with them or known them as teenagers, who end up having to be on insulin the rest of their lives. They can't create their own no matter what. Type 2 diabetes is the most common type. It's overwhelmingly the most common type, and that actually has a lot of effects, both genetics. If mother had it or grandmother had it, your risk of having it is higher. And then environment. When we were younger, you'd go outside and play. So you had an automatic defense against that. Nowadays, kids don't get outside as much, and the type 2 diabetes is happening at a much earlier age.
Wow. So with it happening at a much earlier age, and you mentioned not at a younger age us going out more. We know we have this the children sitting back playing games,
yes.
and being a little more. I mean, we're just being honest
That's
here.
Right.
Not being as active, physical activities. This is one of the things to combat type 2 diabetes.
One of the number one things. It's your diet and physical activity, right beside each other.
Okay.
The way we eat traditionally, the way we live traditionally, the physical activity. We've done a lot. Technology has helped us improve or make things easier to do. In some cases, it's made us lazier, unfortunately. But the type of things you would do as a younger person would combat the food you would eat. Now, most kids are dealing with the iPhone or Xbox or Sony or whatever. It's inside. It's easier if you think of culture. We've changed to where you used to be okay sending your kid out and be gone all day and come home in the evening. Now, because of whatever protections, they're inside doing things inside, and that's a detriment to it. So obesity is increasing, especially in our part of the country. That's one of the big factors in it, and our lifestyle just promotes type 2 diabetes.
So you mentioned the two coincided, physical activity, our diets, and traditionally in the black communities,
Yes.
it might not be the best diet, well, just being honest here. So now here we are in this age where, you are inside more, you're playing the games on television and this type of thing, and still the same diet. So both things have to change. If they both coincide together, we got to change both habits,
That's right? It's our job as physicians and other practitioners to teach and educate and encourage. There's a lot of information out there. Most of us know what to do.
Right.
We can control our portions if we choose to. We know the choices, but there are several factors involved. You may not be able to afford the best foods for you, depending on your situation. But all of us should be able to burn a few calories by walking.
Gotcha.
If you're able, and stepping back or sitting back from the table and saying enough is enough. Those are things we try to promote just as a defense against type 2 diabetes.
If someone is curious if they do have diabetes, what are some of the symptoms that we should be looking out for?
Probably the three biggest symptoms are you thirsty. You're thirsty a lot. You have a burning desire to eat more often than usual, above and beyond what would be comfortable for you. And then increased urination. Many people are going to the bathroom a lot, and that's because your body's trying to get rid of the excess sugars. Those are probably the three first symptoms that we'll see people for in the office. They will come in and say, I'm having these issues, and we do testing, and turned out you have diabetes. You can fight back against that, of course. Many times the thirst will be quenched. They'll keep drinking. Some will drink sweeter things or more water, trying to deal with that for a while. But after a while, it becomes overwhelming, and most people end up seeing the doctor.
Well, and the reason why I asked that, because, that kind of, early detection just with anything, obviously is the best thing to do. We detect things earlier, we can deal with them and give ourselves a good quality of life, obviously, as opposed to them just festering and building up. And you get to, a certain stage where it's like, well, we can do this, but there's really nothing else to do. And that's why I wanted to point that out. And also, at the same time, when we think about what we call our diets, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I often say that diet, a lot of times, or traditionally, we have thought of, well, now I got to go on a diet. Really, our diet is our meal plan, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's a lifestyle.
Right. So kind of expound upon that a little bit. The whole weight loss industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Everyone has a new diet or a different way you can eat, all kinds of herbs, berries, juices, places you have to go, things you should take to help you lose weight. But the truth is, diet is a lifestyle. The way I eat affects what happens to me, and changes in the way I eat, including when I eat, matters. My patients will tell you that I make a big deal about nighttime eating. It's the most comfortable time to eat when you've worked all day, and that's unfortunately traditionally been our biggest meal. Wow.
But we can make some changes.
You mentioned about type 1 diabetes, earlier stage. A lot of times, folks find themselves having to inject insulin, the rest of their life. Type 2 diabetes, noticing some symptoms, early detection, like we mentioned earlier. Is this going to help from not, are there ways to curb it, I guess is the question I'm asking, once we have detected it, so that we're not going to the stage of having to inject ourselves every day?
Yes, most people, if we diagnose you early, you can make enough lifestyle changes to prevent the need for higher impact medications. Nowadays, there are a lot of options out there. Some things that will help support your pancreas, and pancreas is the organ that creates more insulin. Some things that will help your body empty itself of excess sugar, and those are things that are new on the market. A lot of times, depending on how bad you are, we may put you on insulin right away and encourage you to make the lifestyle changes that eventually could get you off the insulin.
Okay.
But depending on where you are in that spectrum, insulin is sometimes necessary, even in type 2 diabetics, and it's the best thing to prevent your body from having to deal with the load.
Well, before we open the phone lines, give our listeners opportunity to ask questions. Back to ClinSearch itself, what does ClinSearch want to do for the Chattanooga community? Do you need folks to, sign up and, to be, part of this program? Or what is ClinSearch's mission?
Currently, we have 3 diabetic studies going. We have some others that are related to diabetes and other functions. And yes, we need volunteers. In fact, as you may have heard me say, one of my burdens is for people of all communities to participate in these trials so we can get good information so that the developer of the drug will be able to say this works well across the board instead of pigeonholing it to one group of individuals. ClinSearch is actively taking volunteers. There are benefits to that, as you've heard with the commercials, where you may get medication for a length of time while you're in the study free of charge. We'll do exams free of charge. You may even be compensated for study-related activities, your travel and time participating in the study. So there are benefits to helping us. We partner with the pharmaceutical companies. You volunteer, we run you through the process, and it's a really easy thing to do. We talk you through that. We're very supportive. Our staff is well experienced in managing patients through that. So yes, if you're interested, you have questions about it, give us a call. We'll be able to help you out.
Are there qualifying factors or disqualifying things for those who might be interested?
Yes, with every study, there are qualifying factors. First thing we start with is the diagnosis, and then once you make the contact, we will go through those details with you to see which study you would fit into or whether something else is better for you. Yeah, all studies have different qualifiers because in order to get the drugs approved, we have to be careful in who we actually administer to. I'm there full-time, so I am supervising the activities through that. So every patient will have an interaction with us, and me in particular, to make sure that they are safely managed through the study.
For those who might have questions about, is this federally approved? Is this something that somebody just set up on their own? What would be your response to that?
On an average, each drug before it comes to market takes about 9 years. So the initial period in developing the drug and then applying for each stage of the way to the FDA to allow them to study. We actually have to contract with them in order for this to be approved. So everything we do is federally supported and approved. We can't do it any other way.
It'll be illegal.
It would be illegal.
Right, bottom line. Yeah.
We're not going to experiment on anybody inappropriately.
Very good.
One of the big things, let me mention this, is we give you a lot of time, adequate time to decide whether or not you want to participate. And during the study, at any time, you can withdraw. You can say, this is not working for me. And that's an informed consent process. It's required by federal law in this country. And we make you aware of that consistently so that should you feel uncomfortable with something or something else happens in your life that makes it inconvenient for you to participate, you have absolutely every right to withdraw. You're not locked into a long-term contract with us. We encourage you to stay with us as long as you can and do it safely and comfortably. But you have the right at any time to withdraw. Very
good. I'll go ahead and open up the phone lines in case any of our listeners have questions or comments for Dr. Mark McKenzie, MD, Medical Director with ClinSearch at Chattanooga. Our phone number, of course, is 423-629-0244. We have talked about diabetes, Dr. McKenzie, and what it is and how it affects us. I don't think we hear a lot about the effect it can have on our heart. Because a lot of times, we just think in one area, I guess, maybe, but diabetes really affects a lot of our health, doesn't it?
That's right. And let's talk about why it matters. So if your blood sugar that you have in your body is circulating through the small blood vessels, when it is unchecked, and insulin is the main hormone that handles that, it can cause damage to those blood vessels, and so blood will not get through them normally. So if you think of the small blood vessels, and primarily I would start with the eyes, the kidney, and the nerve endings, your arms and legs. You may have a change in the sensation. What it means is that nerve may not be getting the nutrition because the blood flow has been compromised. How that happens is if that blood sugar is too high for too long, that blood vessel is damaged. So the organ that needs the sugar, needs the nutrition, is damaged by the high blood sugar, and so it can't work as well anymore. Many people with kidney damage because of diabetes will say, well, I'm making water fine, but the doctor has done tests and they can tell that something is changing.
Obviously.
And we have to do our best to fix the underlying condition, which in most cases, such as this, it's diabetes.
Looks like we have a call coming in. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. You have a question or comment for Dr. McKenzie? Good.
And your doctor. One thing that I'm not going to use this term that I want to say, but anyway, what gets me is I'm what they call a pre-diabetic.
Yes.
And then sometimes when you see certain doctors, they say it's no such thing as a pre-diabetic. So I'm kind of lost. I do know one thing is when I take the medication for the pre-diabetes, I don't really have any trouble. But when they give me the full medication for number 2 diabetes, I have a little trouble. So I'm just trying to figure this out.
So we disagree with ourselves about the term pre-diabetes, but think of it this way. Some doctors use that to say that you have diabetes, but it's not that bad. Another way of thinking about it.
That ain't what they're saying, because I've even asked the question.
No. Caller, just to interject with Dr. McKenzie, I don't think that's what he was saying. He was saying that's the reason that some doctors might utilize that terminology.
Right.
Is that what
that's
you're
correct.
saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's a reason they may use the terminology. The way I do it.
I disagree.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
let me give you a little background. The way I do it in my office is either you're diabetic or you're not.
Gotcha.
If your blood sugar is uncontrolled, you're considered diabetic, and we're going to do our best to treat you. That doesn't mean you need medicine yet. The first thing we're going to start with is lifestyle, and that means exercise and an appropriate diet. After that, you may need medicine, and we've escalated depending on how well you do, or back up if you're doing really well.
Well, I appreciate that, Dr. McKenzie, because that's more concrete to me.
Yes.
To the caller's point, he has a right to disagree. I mean, we're not going to go back and forth on that. But for someone in the medical profession, let's say you have pre-diabetes, this is a serious issue.
Yes.
And if you have those symptoms, I appreciate what you're saying. You have diabetes, and that might not be as bad, or you might not be far along as somebody else. But you have diabetes, so let's deal with this.
Since we believe prevention is the best medicine anyway, it's incumbent on your practitioner or physician to go ahead and do something to help you make a difference.
Agreed.
It is your responsibility to do something. So whether I call you type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes or something we call metabolic syndrome, which can lead to diabetes. These are conditions where people are overweight. They may have some blood pressure problems. They may have some difficulty managing cholesterol, etc. We're going to make lifestyle changes if you partner with me before you get to the point where you're needing a whole lot more therapy.
Wow. Again, I appreciate that approach because that is concrete, that is honest, that is real. So we definitely appreciate that. Still got time to get a couple more calls. Anybody else want to call in? You got questions or comments with Dr. Mark McKenzie, MD, Medical Director at ClinSearch, Chattanooga. Again, our phone number is 423-629-0244. Dr. McKenzie has been reported that women with diabetes twice as likely to have another heart attack after the first one. Why is that?
Well, unfortunately, the symptoms that women have are not the classic Hollywood clutching your chest pain that signals a heart attack. But there are a lot of factors related to the body makeup that is different between men and women, muscle versus not. And there are variations to that for everybody because we all can do different things. But the point is, any diabetic, we think of automatically you have heart disease. Even if we haven't looked for it, we think of you that way so that we work on prevention.
Just like you were saying earlier, you know, it's like, hey, this is a preventative thing that we need to really go down, take our walk down to prevent anything happening because you could have a heart attack. It could lead to heart disease.
That's right. The what's interesting is the blood vessels around the heart are actually bigger than the ones in the kidney, the ones that feed your nerves in your feet, the ones in your eyes. So they would have a problem later than some of those other effects. So as a physician, your job is to guide through the screening exams, and that means a blood test or a urine test for the kidney, means getting you to the eye doctor to see them yearly to make sure things are okay, and even doing a physical exam that evaluates your nerves. These are things we can do to pick it up a whole lot earlier before it actually affects the heart.
If there was a simple response or answer you could have to someone asking, what can I do to prevent diabetes or prevent it from being a deeper level or a different level or getting worse, what would be your simple answer?
Exercise. Nothing else. Exercise. If you're consistent with a daily routine of exercise, you're going to make a difference. It'll affect your blood pressure, it'll affect your heart, it'll affect your cholesterol, it'll affect your weight, and it definitely will affect your diabetes.
Wow. Simple answer, exercise. Exercise regularly, obviously, not once a month.
A regular thing.
Right. Wow.
Not just on the weekend or once in a while or when you feel like it. It has to be consistent. And believe me, I've heard every excuse.
I'm sure.
Time of year.
Oh, my God.
I'm fixing to try. Those
I love that,
terms,
fixing to try, yeah.
You may understand that I didn't grow up around here, but one of the terms I learned earlier when I came here to practice was people would tell me I'm fixing to try.
Yeah, fixing to, that's...
and you're fixing to try for years, and unfortunately we have a problem.
Wow. Well, we can't thank you enough. Any final comment or things you want our listeners to know about ClinSearch?
Well, again, diabetes is the big focus today. We have a lot of different studies that we are advertising and working on. You can see them on our website. It's ClinSearch-us.com, or also calling the phone number and 698-4584. We can get you in touch with somebody who can tell you about the studies. But ClinSearch is here to help. Our focus is another piece of the medical paradigm where we are doing something that can help to develop new therapies to prevent and combat the problems we deal with. But the burden for this issue is diabetes. There's so much we can do lifestyle-wise, and we can help you through some of that, guide you to professionals who can help you. But give us a try. We can get good information that can make a difference and guide you through it. And there are benefits to you that you may not realize.
Well, I was just going to say, you had mentioned benefits earlier to those who volunteer for the program, as far as the medicine, medical tests, testing, and compensation in some cases.
That's right.
So, it's a plus win-win, if you will, all the way around for those who participate.
That's right.
If you would, one last time, give out the website and phone number.
Website, www.ClinSearch-us.com. And our local phone number here is 423-698-4584.
Dr. Mark McKenzie, MD, Medical Director, ClinSearch of Chattanooga, thank you for being here. God bless you. We appreciate you all support of Clear Media. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
We're going to talk again.